So Emily and I here, we are at the gates of Parliament Hill. This would be the West Tower, and we're gonna go check out the Peace Tower, which is the central block. Just a little side note before we go in, we have the Eternal Flame in all of its splendor. Call it the Eternal Flame because it is literally on all the time. I think there was once that it was extinguished. It's quite gorgeous. I love it. There's a 1:30 bell. And cutscene. So it's now the next day. We are in front of the Parliament building. It's beautiful. We were turned away because we didn't have a ticket yesterday. We didn't know that you actually needed to get a ticket from the info center, which is that white building in the frame. I don't know if you can see it. Small white building. Yeah, we have tickets for 9:45 a.m. and we have about 20 minutes left. Hopefully we get to go in the Peace Tower. That's the Peace Tower. Hopefully we get to see the library. What's that, Em? It is bright. It's very bright. Yeah, we went at 8 o'clock in the morning. It opens at 9. And yeah, we got 2 tickets. We're happy. And cutscene. This hat belonged to Honorable Maurice Bourget, Speaker of the Senate from 1963 to 1966. Quite a nice hat. Wow.
Okay, so right now we're somewhere called the House of Commons foyer. Does anyone recognize this area from somewhere?
CBC?
Yeah, exactly. So this is the part that most people recognize because this is the part that's shown on television, mostly. So essentially when the members of Parliament come out of the House of Commons here, they're bombarded by something called a media scrum. And so a media scrum is a bunch of people asking questions at the same time to members of Parliament. Now instead of trying to explain what that's like, I'd rather demonstrate. So can I have one volunteer? So right now we're in the House of Commons. Now, for those of you who might not know, right now it is the 42nd Parliament of Canada. So when I say Parliament, it's not just the building, it's also the time between 2 elections. So if you remember, we had elections back in October. Since then, we've been the 42nd Parliament. Now for this Parliament, we actually had to add something into the room in Canada. So they represent around 100,000 people, give or take. And so the population of Canada is growing with the years. And with this census every 10 years, we figure out how many seats we need to add to better represent the population. So the reading room. So if you look around here, you won't see any books and you won't see any papers. So it's not much of a reading room, is it? That's because it's not used as a reading room anymore. It's named after its prior purpose. So today, it's kind of a multi-purpose room. So it's a committee room. So if you see there are desks here with chairs. So in committees, you've got different members from different political parties that get together and they talk about very important subjects, so some that are very specific. So let's say if you were to talk about pizza, so pizza is kind of a general subject, they would talk about pepperoni pizza. So the library is very different from the rest of the building because it's the only original part of the building left. It's the only part that didn't burn down in the fire of 1916. Now, does anyone know why it didn't burn down?
Those doors.
Exactly. So a man named Michael McCormick told the librarian to close the doors. And the doors, they look like they're made out of wood. They're the ones that are open right there, but they're actually made out of iron. So those iron doors kept the fire from going through into the library. It's also not the only reason. There's also the fact that you did walk through a little hallway to get to the library, meaning that it's not directly attached to the rest of the building. So that helped immensely that night, right? The fact that it's not directly attached. And that was the choice of Alpheus Todd, our first librarian, who helped with the design of the library. Alpheus Todd is also the one that wanted those iron doors. So it was really thanks to him. Also, the winds were blowing the opposite way, so it was a little bit of luck as well. So the library, as soon as you walked in, I'm sure that you noticed the difference. It's a lot happier in here, right? There's a lot more light that gets in. There are flowers engraved in the wood here, so it kind of looks like lace all around you. And it is made out of wood. That's another difference. It is white pine. It's varnished wood. And so it's a lot happier because it represents a time when it was built. 1876, about that time. And that's near Confederation, when Canada became a country. So if you think about it, it's a time when everybody's celebrating. So it's really shown through the architecture. So it's kind of like a big birthday cake here, right? And then the rest of the building, what was that like?
Cold.
Stone, cold, somber, very gray. Not that much light gets in. There's a reason for that. Because we rebuilt it in 1916, which was?
World War I.
Yeah, during the First World War. So during the First World War, we didn't have the same amount of money to spend on the same resources, and so we got them from closer to us because it was less expensive that way. But we also built it in a much more somber way because we wanted to commemorate the soldiers that we lost during that time. So it really represents a time in 1960. So in the library, I'm sure you noticed that there was someone represented right in the center. There was a large statue. Who was it of?
Victoria.
Queen Victoria, exactly. So Queen Victoria is very important for Canada, and she's also represented here in the Senate foyer. Can you find her somewhere? So this one is Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, so she's the queen right now. So there's another one twice. We didn't save it 3 times, but we saved it 4 different times from a burning building. The second time was in Montreal, and it was in a hotel. But if you see, the frame is quite large, right? So the frame, it didn't actually fit through the door of the hotel. So what they did is they cut it. They cut the canvas out of the frame. So where you see that happening is on the right-hand side on the table, there's a crown. The crown is cut in half. So that's where they cut it. Because what does Parliament do or make? Laws. Exactly. So Parliament's responsibility is to pass laws. To pass a law, you actually need both chambers. They work together. So you need the House of Commons that we saw earlier, and you also need the Senate here. So usually it'll start in the House of Commons. Someone would have an idea for a law, which is called a
Bill.
bill, exactly. So in the House of Commons, they would discuss the bill, make changes with their committees. Those are called amendments. They would debate, and then they vote. And if they vote yes, then it comes into the Senate. And in the Senate, they're usually called the Chamber of Sober Second Thought. They're going to do the same thing, discuss, debate, make changes, and vote. If they vote yes, does that make it a law?
No.
Not yet.
Perfect. So, if you look just outside that window there, you are going to see something pretty cool. So right now it's a boring brick wall. It's the nicest we have on Parliament Hill. So lucky for that. After all of that, you're going to get to see some of the bells that we have. We have 53 of them in total. You might have heard them today. They go off every 15 minutes, so they're pretty big.
Oh, wow.
The biggest one weighs as much as 2 African elephants, about 11 tons.
Wow.
And the smallest one weighs about as much as a chicken. So
Oh.
quite a diverse amount of bells. And now watch out for that door next to the window that will be opening. And now you're at 60 meters up just below where the clock is. Beautiful 360 degree view.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. That's amazing.
Where all of our offices are, research labs. And then you can see the glass over here at the right glass building. Remember the Canada
This sculpture called the protest. This one located on the southeast corner of the 42 inches tall. It's supposed to be of the tower.
So cool. I've never seen Ottawa in this perspective. There's the East Tower. There's the canal and the Ottawa River. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like.